Hi and welcome to this SOLIDWORKS tutorial for a 4-part mould. The mould is of a ceramic beaker I designed for my master's degree project. I used a 3D printed model to make a plaster mould from for slip casting in earthenware clay. The beaker was designed and created in SOLIDWORKS, and I also used SOLIDWORKS to see how I could create the mould, where the mould split lines would be and how best to create the mould for a complex faceted design. The beaker mould model and the cast beaker model are available to download from the blog. You will need the beaker mould model to follow this tutorial. This tutorial will demonstrate how I use the split tool and combined beaker to create this complex mould. The way I've created my mould may be different to others' modelling techniques, but this is just how I work. To begin, start a new part. I need to bring in the beaker mould model. Use an insert and part. Browse for the beaker mould model. When it opens, just click on the green tick. We don't need to locate or move the part, so just click the cross. The model is made up of the beaker design here, with the top part being a spare. This is used for slip casting clay into the mould. As slip dries onto the plaster walls of a mould, the clay level drops. Without a spare, the top part of the casting would be thinner than the rest. So to cast it evenly, a spare is essential in plaster moulds. This design also has a foot ring, so a bottom mould piece will be needed. Now start a new sketch onto the top face here. Take the centre rectangle and draw a 200 by 200 mm square from the centre axis. Add smart dimensions to fully define. Extrude the square down to the bottom vertex of the beaker like this. Ensure Merge Result is unticked. It must be a separate body. Next, use the Combine tool. Operation type needs to be on Subtract. Select the extrusion as the main body. Then select the beaker mould model from the solid body drop-down for bodies to subtract and OK the feature. You'll be asked what bodies to keep. If you look into the selected bodies, you will see that the foot ring negative has appeared. We need to keep this for the bottom mould part, so keep all bodies ticked. The next part can get quite complex, so feel free to pause the tutorial to see exactly where I create each split sketch. For the first split, start a sketch on this left side face. Turn on section view from the right plane or from the face and drag it mid-model. You may need to flip the section like this. You want the other side of the model to be hidden. Turn on wire view with hidden lines visible. Both of these settings make it much easier to create the split lines, as you can see if I turn off the section. Take the line tool and start from the centre of the mould here and drain it up vertically to the design edge like this. Then holding Ctrl on your keyboard, select all of these draining edges until you get to the bottom edge. Convert the entities. You will need to trim away this edge here. Now I have a continuous split line across the part. You can turn off the section view, select the split tool, and under target bodies you want to select the bodies for the split feature. For this, ensure you select the mould. You don't want it to cut through the foot ring body. Select cut bodies, check the scissors icon to keep all the resulting bodies of the split, and OK it. You will see the split bodies in the solid bodies list here. Feel free to hide your split sketches as you go along. For the next split, start a sketch onto the front face. Again, use section view to make the model lines easier to see. For this sketch, start with a line and sketch up vertically to the mould edge. Then go along this edge with the line up to this point. I can then hold Ctrl again and select all these joint edges. Convert these entities. Then use the line to join up the sketch to the bottom edge of the mould. Select the split feature. Under selected bodies, select this part only and cut the body. Check all the resulting bodies with the scissors icon and OK the feature. Again, you can see the resulting bodies here. Before we can create the third split sketch, I want to combine and add these two parts together. We still have the two split lines we created, and we can now create the third. Sketching onto this face, turn on section view. With the line, sketch up from this point to the mould edge. Then another small line along the top edge here to this point. Selecting all the following edges, ensure you get this little one here first. Stop at this edge and convert the selected entities. Then you can use the line tool to join up the entities to the edge. Select the split tool. Select the larger mould part and cut the bodies. Check all the resulting bodies and OK the split. From that split, we have been left with this extra piece that has come off the larger mould side. So just use the combine tool and add the body to this mould part. You will be left with 3 mould parts and the foot ring body. If I hide the smaller mould parts, you can see the uneven surfaces here, but to add mould notches I need a smoother surface. Notches are for aligning the sections of a plaster piece mould. To do this, start a new sketch on the top face of the mould part. Turn on wire view and with the line, start from the furthest edge in. From the mould edge, go along this edge by 25mm, then diagonally up to the outermost edge. Add dimensions to ensure that this line is 25mm and the distance between this point and this point is 15. Do the same on the other side of the mould, going from the outer edge from the bottom. And remember to add dimensions. You can then use the split tool. Select the largest mould part for selected bodies to cut. Keep all the resulting bodies and OK the feature. You will be left with these off-cut bodies. For these, select the combine tool. With operation type on add, select these 2 bodies from this side and the opposite mould part from the solid bodies list like this, and OK it. Repeat this process for the other bodies and add them to the other mould part side like this. When we re-hide the smaller mould parts, you can see the flat surfaces created. This also creates neat mould split lines from the outside. I now need to do this for the other mould parts. So hiding this part, start a new sketch onto this face. View from the top and turn on wire view. Repeat the process and draw a line starting from the furthest visible edge in from the mould edge and go along this edge by 25mm, then diagonally up to the outermost edge. Add dimensions to ensure this line is 25mm and this time make this dimension 10mm as these mould parts are smaller. With the split feature, select this mould body and cut the part. Keep all the bodies and OK the split. You will then need to combine the excess split bodies to the opposite mould part like this. You can see with wire view on, we now have a nice neat mould split line and surfaces for notches. Before we can create these, we also need to create the base mould piece. Sketching onto the bottom face of a mould part. Draw a square corner to corner on the moulds like this. Extrude the sketch by 30mm with merge result checked. You need to select the foot ring body for the selected bodies to merge to. We now have 4 mould parts, but to line them up we need notches. Hiding the smaller mould sides, start a sketch onto this face. Using the centre line, go from the centre of the top edge to the bottom. Then with the circle tool, ensure your circles have add dimensions checked here. Sketch 2 16mm circles onto the centre line, top and bottom like this. Add dimensions to the circle's centre points to the centre line points, with a distance of 25mm each. You can then just select the whole sketch and use Ctrl+C on your keyboard to copy it for the other mould parts. Extrude the notches by 8mm and merge the result to the mould part only. Repeat this process for this side, starting a sketch on this face, paste the sketch onto it, and use relations to place the centre line point midpoint to the edge. Add a coincident relation to the centre line on this top edge. Extrude by 8mm again, merging it to the mould part only. Fillet the faces of the natches by 8mm. Next, bring this mould part into view. Sketching onto this face, paste in the natches sketch. Fully define it with relations. Extrude the sketch by 8mm and merge it in this mould part. Fillet the faces of these natches too by 8mm. Finally, to add natches to the base part, hide all the top mould parts. Start a sketch onto the top face and offset the face 20mm inwards. Then make the sketch for construction. Use this to add 16mm circles onto each corner of the square. Extrude the natches by 8mm again, merging only to the base piece. Ensure you fillet all the natches by 8mm. Bringing all the parts back into view, you can see with hidden lines visible that we have all of our natches in place, but they need to be cut into the opposing mould faces. To do this, I'm using move/copy bodies to make copies for the combine tool. Using move/copy, make 3 copies of the base part like this. Then using the combine tool, I need to select one of the top mould parts as the main body and subtract a base mould copy. This cuts natches into the bottom of the mould parts. Repeat the process for the smaller mould parts. Next, the top mould pieces need to be cut from each other. For this, use move/copy bodies and create 2 copies of the largest mould part. Use combine and subtract the larger mould piece copy from each of the smaller mould parts. You need to do this to each one separately. Finally, make a copy of this mould part. Then using combine at final time, subtract this body from this mould part. You will know if you've done this part of the tutorial right, as you should only be left with 4 solid bodies at the end. All natches will now join together from each mould piece. If I hide this part, you can see the negatives of the natches in the 2 other parts. You can check all of them by hiding parts or using move bodies and just dragging mould parts away from each other. Your mould parts should have natch holes underneath like this, and they should all join up. Suppressing the move features, you can save your part. If you wish to have all the parts separate, you can save bodies from the solid body drop-down and save the mould parts separately. Here is an assembly I created showing the opening of the mould, the beaker mould model, and also the cast beaker model. I added small fillets to the mould which you can see for the renderings, just to make it easier to see the mould split lines. These renderings were created with SOLIDWORKS Visualize. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Thanks for watching.